Roku Streaming Stick Plus, HD, 4K, HDR streaming device with long-range wireless and voice remote with TV controls. Our verdict: while the Roku Streaming Stick Plus has a better range than its predecessors, and therefore the power to process 4K HDR video, a couple of niggling issues like slow pop in time on the house screen and lack of Dolby support keep it from reaching its full potential. For 4K HDR streaming stick Wi-Fi antenna placement, Roku OS 8 against proprietary power cable, no Dolby Vision or Atmos, occasional pop-in issues. Its strong spec sheet sets it apart. It may be a little larger than your standard USB thumb drive, but it can output 4K HDR10 streaming because of its inbuilt 802.11 AC Wi-Fi antenna. That sits outside the chassis, which, consistent with Roku, offers a faster and more stable streaming experience. Ultimately though, while size, performance, and price elevate the Roku Streaming Stick Plus to unprecedented levels, a couple of niggling issues like slow pop in time and lack of Dolby support prevent it from winning top accolades. Design and features: Roku's streaming sticks have always been deceptively simple devices, but the new Roku Streaming Stick Plus takes that style philosophy to a replacement level. It's even as petite as its predecessors, a mere 3.7 by 0.8 by 0.47 inches and 0.9 ounces, but stuffs even more power into the flash drive-sized form factor. Despite the extra hardware, however, it'll still neatly fit behind your TV, and draw power from either your TV's USB port or from the wall. It is, for the foremost part, a well-known design. It's a form factor that Roku pioneered 5 years ago with its oblong and creatively colored purple Roku Streaming Stick, and it's clearly served the corporate overflow the years. The form factor was popular enough for Roku to warrant an update last year, and throughout the years has been copied by both main hardware manufacturers and cheap knockoffs alike. New for the Streaming Stick Plus is that strange, proprietary power line that houses the external antenna. It provides the Roku Streaming Stick Plus with fourfold the range because the old Roku streaming sticks, and helps reduce interference. The benefit here may be a faster and more stable streaming experience, which translates to faster load times and fewer time buffering. The major advantage Roku has over its competition, namely the Chromecast Ultra, is that like every other model Roku makes, the Streaming Stick Plus comes packaged with a foreign Roku OS 8. Of course, what's hardware without software to go along with it? In the case of the new Roku Streaming Stick Plus, you'll need to familiarize yourself with Roku OS 8, a pumped-up version of the egalitarian OS that adds a few new streaming services and apps, including Roku's free streaming channel, Roku TV. Before now, Roku had most everything a streamer could want: Netflix and Amazon, obviously, but also YouTube, Crackle, and Vudu also. If you'd wish to stream some audio, Roku offers both music mainstays, Pandora and Spotify, but also Deezer, Vivo, SiriusXM, Amazon Music, and TuneIn, too. While we were reviewing the Roku Streaming Stick Plus, the Roku channel was showing The Soldiers, The Pursuit of Happiness, Drive, and Men in Black, among dozens of others. While the huge, egalitarian offering of 3,000+ streaming channels is clearly the highlight of Roku OS, we're also keen on its clean and straightforward layout, also as its robust search platform. Nearly everything is straightforward to seek out on the platform, aided in no small part by deeply integrated voice search functionality that scours over 200 apps to seek out the simplest prices on shows and films, and features like My Feed help us keep track of the content coming shortly that we've our eyes on. Performance: so what's it wish to use Roku's pint-sized streaming device? In a word, great. In more words, the Roku Streaming Stick Plus is a superb device. Jumping in between apps may be a quick and painless affair, and videos begin quickly, albeit there in 4K HDR. Not only does the new Roku Streaming Stick Plus competently play 4K UHD content, but it can also play it from an honest range, too. This is an enormous boon for those folks who keep our entertainment distant from our router, and can likely improve the experience for anyone who suffers from slow buffering times or frequent stutters. It suffered from some pop-in issues on the house menu. To be more specific, while browsing the menu, some parts of the interface would take a couple of seconds to load. It's not a deal breaker, and it's not something that happened all the time, but the time spent expecting the My Feed section to populate could have been spent streaming content. We liked Roku has done something really special with the Streaming Stick Plus, and it's important to acknowledge it. By squeezing 4K HDR streaming hardware into a tool the dimensions of a USB stick, Roku has made a svelte, small, powerful and affordable streaming device. We disliked while the Roku Streaming Stick Plus is ideal for the here and now, we're definitely worried about how it'll delay, especially against the increasingly fierce competition from Google and Amazon. The other concerns we've are with its proprietary power line. If you break down, it's not all that easy to exchange. Final verdict advertisement. The Roku Streaming Stick Plus is playing to its strengths. It's small, it's powerful and, because of its new external Wi-Fi antenna, has an extended range. It's priced appropriately, especially after the recent price drop, and, don't forget the Roku Streaming Stick Plus comes with a foreign and Roku's all-around awesome Roku OS. On the downside, though, the Roku Streaming Stick Plus does use a proprietary power line now. Lose it, and you can't just replace it with unspecified mini USB cable you've got lying around. On top of that, issues with pop-in and a scarcity of future-facing technology stop the Roku Streaming Stick from winning our unbridled recommendation.